Did you know that Michael J. Fox was not the first choice and filmed every scene at night while working a sitcom during the day? And that Marty's iconic red vest was added last minute to hide the fact that the previous actor's shirt did not fit Fox's body? The photograph of Marty's family disappearing required technology that did not exist yet. Engineers had to invent custom hardware for one sequence. And it gets weirder. The film was rejected 40 times. Christopher Lloyd never blinked on camera, and the actress who played Jennifer left the franchise to care for her dying mother. Number 20. Back to the Future has aired on American cable television for 39 consecutive years from 1986 through 2024. That is not a typo. This film about a teenager who accidentally travels to 1955 has outlasted entire television networks, survived 4 different ownership changes at Universal Studios, and been passed down through 2 complete generations of families. It started on HBO, moved to basic cable in the early 90s, jumped to TBS, then USA Network, and eventually landed on a rotating schedule across NBC Universal properties. Very few theatrical films can claim that kind of staying power. Every year, millions of households still tune in to watch Marty McFly try to fix his parents' relationship. Number 19. The film made 20 times its production budget and became the highest grossing movie of 1985. Back to the Future earned $381.1 million worldwide against a production budget of $19 million. Adjusted for inflation, that is over $1.1 billion in 2025. For context, the average blockbuster in 1985 cost about $15 million to produce. This was more expensive than most. It also became the first film to gross more than $200 million domestically in a single calendar year during its initial theatrical run, a milestone that would not be repeated until Top Gun the following summer. Robert Zemeckis was 33 years old when the film premiered. He had been trying to make this movie for 5 years. Number 18. Eric Stoltz filmed the role of Marty McFly for 6 full weeks before anyone told him he was fired. According to production documents, Stoltz completed approximately 40 days of shooting across January and early February 1985, representing roughly half of the scheduled production timeline. The footage still exists in Universal's archives. Steven Spielberg, who served as executive producer, reportedly reviewed the dailies and told Zemeckis that Stoltz was giving a compelling dramatic performance. But the movie was supposed to be a comedy. The problem was not Stoltz's talent or his work ethic. The problem was tone. Zemeckis had pitched the film as a lighthearted adventure, but Stoltz was playing Marty McFly like a traumatized teenager in a serious science fiction drama. Number 17. Replacing Eric Stoltz with Michael J. Fox cost an additional $4 million and nearly killed the entire production. The studio had to pay Stoltz his full contract, reshoot every scene he had completed, and extend the production schedule by 5 weeks. That $4 million overrun, adjusted for inflation, equals roughly $11.5 million in 2024 money. According to a 1990 interview with Bob Gale in Cinefantastique, Universal executives seriously considered shutting down production entirely and writing off the loss. The decision to continue came down to a single screening. Sid Sheinberg, then president of Universal, watched Michael J. Fox's first day of footage and immediately approved the budget increase. The film's final production cost ballooned to $19 million, making it more expensive than the bridge on the River Kwai adjusted for runtime. Number 16. Michael J. Fox filmed Back to the Future at night while shooting Family Ties during the day, and he did this for 11 weeks straight. His contract with NBC prevented him from leaving the sitcom, so he worked both jobs simultaneously from February through April 1985. Fox's typical schedule involved waking at 9 a.m., arriving at the Family Ties set by 10 a.m., filming the sitcom until 6 p.m., driving to the Back to the Future set by 7 p.m., and shooting until 2 or 3 a.m. According to Christopher Lloyd, Fox sometimes fell asleep standing up between takes. The production kept a chiropractor on standby because Fox developed severe back pain from the physical stunts combined with sleep deprivation. He averaged less than 5 hours of sleep per night for nearly 3 months. He was 23 years old. Number 15. The film was rejected by every major studio in Hollywood, and Bob Gale kept every rejection letter to prove it. Columbia Pictures passed. United Artists passed. Disney passed, calling the script inappropriate because the mother character was attracted to her own son. Warner Brothers passed. Paramount passed. According to Gale, the project was turned down approximately 40 times between 1980 and 1984. That number is not an exaggeration. The breakthrough came when Steven Spielberg's production company, Amblin Entertainment, agreed to develop the script after Zemeckis directed Romancing the Stone in 1984. That film became a surprise box office hit, earning $76.5 million. Universal Studios finally greenlit Back to the Future based entirely on Zemeckis' newfound commercial credibility. Without Romancing the Stone's success, this project would likely never have been made. Number 14. Universal executives hated the title so much, they sent an official memo demanding it be changed. According to Bob Gale, Sid Sheinberg sent a memo in early 1985 suggesting the film be retitled Spacemen from Pluto. Sheinberg genuinely believed audiences would be confused by the phrase Back to the Future. Steven Spielberg responded with a memo thanking Sheinberg for the hilarious joke and praising his wonderful sense of humor. Sheinberg, not wanting to admit he had been serious, never mentioned the title change again. The passive-aggressive exchange saved one of cinema's most recognizable titles. Gale framed both memos and hung them in his office. Number 13. The DeLorean was never supposed to be the time machine. In the original 1980 draft of the script, Doc Brown built the time machine out of a refrigerator. The plot involved Marty hiding inside the fridge during a nuclear test blast at a military base in Nevada. According to production notes, Zemeckis and Gale abandoned the refrigerator concept because they worried children would imitate the film and accidentally lock themselves inside old appliances. The DeLorean was chosen because its gull-wing doors and stainless steel body looked futuristic. John DeLorean's company had gone bankrupt in 1982, making the cars cheap to acquire. The choice that seems so obvious now was actually born from child safety concerns. Number 12. The DeLorean gets even stranger. The DeLorean's signature gull-wing doors kept malfunctioning during filming because Southern California experienced unseasonably hot weather in early 1985. The heat caused the hydraulic door mechanisms to fail repeatedly. According to the special effects crew, the doors would either refuse to open or refuse to close, forcing production to halt while mechanics adjusted the hydraulics. In several scenes, you can see crew members manually pushing the doors closed just before the camera cuts. The production kept two identical DeLoreans on set at all times in case one broke down mid-scene. Number 11. Marty McFly's iconic red vest exists because of a costume continuity disaster. Michael J. Fox replaced Eric Stoltz after 6 weeks of filming, but the costume department had already established Marty's wardrobe in dozens of completed scenes. Fox and Stoltz had completely different body types. The denim jacket fit Fox reasonably well, but the shirt underneath was too large and looked wrong on camera. Costume designer Deborah Lynn Scott added the red vest to hide the ill-fitting shirt and create a tighter silhouette. The vest was not part of the original costume design at all. It was a practical fix that accidentally became one of the most recognizable costume elements in 1980s cinema. Fox wore the exact same vest throughout the entire trilogy. Number 10. The photograph of Marty's family slowly disappearing used technology that had never been attempted in cinema before. The visual effects team at Industrial Light and Magic photographed the family portrait multiple times with different combinations of actors removed, then used a computer-controlled optical printer to dissolve between the images in precise increments. The technology required to sync the dissolves with Michael J. Fox's hand movements did not exist yet. ILM engineers built custom hardware specifically for this single sequence. The entire effect took 6 weeks to complete and cost approximately $30,000, which equals roughly $86,000 adjusted for inflation. Today, the same effect could be achieved in an afternoon using basic desktop software. Number 9. Ronald Reagan quoted the film in the 1986 State of the Union address, and nobody told the producers it was going to happen. On February 4th, 1986, Reagan told Congress, "As they said in the film Back to the Future, where we are going, we do not need roads." The quote was part of a section about American innovation. Reagan had watched the film at Camp David in December 1985 and loved it. According to White House records, he referenced it publicly multiple times throughout 1986. Bob Gale learned about the State of the Union reference by watching it live on television with no advance warning. Reagan was 75 years old at the time. The sitting president of the United States quoted a time travel comedy to Congress. Number 8. Christopher Lloyd deliberately never blinked during his performance as Doc Brown to make the character appear unhinged. Lloyd made a conscious acting choice to keep his eyes wide open in nearly every scene. According to a 1989 interview in American Film Magazine, Lloyd practiced the technique by staring at himself in a mirror for extended periods to train his eyes to resist the natural blinking reflex. The effect is most noticeable in the opening scene when Doc demonstrates the time machine. Lloyd holds his eyes open for nearly 40 consecutive seconds of screen time without blinking once. He later said the technique gave him chronic dry eye during filming and required frequent eye drops between takes. He was 47 years old during production. Number 7. The clock tower lightning strike sequence was filmed in one take during an actual rainstorm because the production could not afford to reschedule. The crew had planned the climax for a dry night shoot, but unseasonable weather moved into Los Angeles on May 20th, 1985. Rather than lose a critical night on an already over-budget production, Zemeckis decided to shoot during the rain. rain. According to cinematographer Dean Cundy, the storm created real lightning in the distance, which added practical atmospheric elements that would have been impossible to replicate. The crew had one chance to capture the shot because the lightning rig could only be fired once before requiring a full reset. Michael J. Fox climbed the clock tower in real rain with real lightning flashing overhead. Number 6. Huey Lewis played the high school teacher who rejects Marty's band audition, and for years nobody knew it was him. Lewis is on screen for approximately 8 seconds, wearing sunglasses and sitting behind a judging table. He delivers one line: "I'm afraid you are just too darn loud." The cameo was not credited in the original theatrical release. Lewis also composed and performed The Power of Love and Back in Time, the film's 2 hit singles. According to production notes, Lewis agreed to the cameo as a joke after Zemeckis pointed out the irony. The person rejecting Marty's rock band would be the same musician whose song Marty skateboards to earlier in the film. The Power of Love peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in August 1985. The irony was entirely deliberate. Number 5. The film's most famous line was completely improvised by Michael J. Fox, and Christopher Lloyd had no idea it was coming. When Doc Brown expresses disbelief that Ronald Reagan is president in 1985, Marty was supposed to respond with a scripted line about Reagan's acting career. Instead, Fox ad-libbed, "Ronald Reagan, the actor?" followed by, "Then who's vice president? Jerry Lewis." The line was not in any draft of the screenplay. According to Bob Gale, Fox improvised it during the 3rd take of the scene, and Zemeckis immediately knew it was better than the scripted version. Christopher Lloyd's stunned reaction is genuine because he was expecting the original dialogue. The improvisation became one of the most quoted moments in the entire film. Reagan himself later said it was his favorite joke in the movie. Number 4. Crispin Glover nearly quit the production after a dispute about his character's arc and what the ending implied about American values. Glover, who played George McFly, objected to the film's conclusion because he believed it sent the wrong message. In the original timeline, George is weak and bullied. In the altered timeline, George is confident and financially successful with a large house and expensive cars. According to a 1990 interview in Starlog magazine, Glover told Zemeckis that the ending implied people should aspire to material wealth rather than personal growth. Glover wanted George's transformation to be purely emotional, not financial. Zemeckis refused to change the ending. Glover considered walking off set, but ultimately stayed to honor his contract. The dispute permanently damaged their relationship. When Universal made Back to the Future Part 2 in 1989, Glover refused to return and later sued the studio for $760,000 after they used prosthetics and archive footage to simulate his presence without permission. Number 3. The plutonium case Doc Brown uses was a repurposed radiation detector from an actual nuclear facility, and it still had government warning labels inside. The prop department purchased a decommissioned Geiger counter housing from a government surplus auction in 1984. According to special effects coordinator Kevin Pike, the case still had faint radiation warning labels inside that had to be painted over before filming. The production added LED lights, switches, and fake plutonium vials, but the core container was an actual piece of Cold War era equipment designed to measure radioactive contamination at military sites. The same prop appears in all 3 Back to the Future films. It is now housed in the Universal Studios archive. The case was never dangerous because it had been cleared for sale, specifically because it had never contained radioactive material, only the instruments to detect it. Number 2. The film's iconic time travel sound effect was created by layering a cow mooing with a World War II fighter plane, and it took longer to produce than any visual effect in the movie. Sound designer Charles L. Campbell recorded a cow at a Northern California dairy farm, then pitch shifted the recording down 2 octaves and layered it with the sound of a P-38 Lightning aircraft passing overhead at an air show. According to the film's audio commentary, Campbell spent 3 weeks experimenting with different combinations before discovering that animal sounds blended with mechanical sounds created the otherworldly quality Zemeckis wanted. The final sound effect uses 17 separate audio layers, including the cow, the aircraft, a Tesla coil sparking, and a recording of Campbell himself blowing air through a tube. The entire process took 6 weeks from concept to final mix. A cow mooing backwards became the sound of time itself bending. Number 1. The actress who played Jennifer Parker was forced to leave the franchise because her mother was dying of cancer, and the studio refused to delay filming. Claudia Wells was contracted to appear in Back to the Future Part 2, but during pre-production in 1988, her mother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and given less than a year to live. According to a 2010 interview Wells gave to The Hollywood Reporter, she asked Universal to delay filming by just 3 months so she could care for her mother during chemotherapy. The studio refused because the production schedule was locked to accommodate Michael J. Fox's television commitments and could not be adjusted. Wells withdrew from the role to be with her mother full-time. Elizabeth Shue replaced her. Wells's mother died in 1989. Wells did not act in another film for 11 years, later saying she never regretted choosing family over career. The teenager who improvised one of cinema's most quoted lines worked double shifts for 3 months straight on less than 5 hours of sleep. The composer of the movie's biggest hit song also played the teacher who rejected that same teenager's band audition. A cow mooing backwards became the sound of time itself, and the young actress who walked away from a franchise to care for her dying mother never looked back. What surprised you most from this list? Was it the 6 weeks of footage that had to be thrown away, the improvised Reagan joke that made it into a State of the Union address, or the fact that a refrigerator nearly became cinema's most iconic time machine? Drop a comment below, and if these kinds of behind-the-scenes secrets make you see classic films in a completely different light, make sure to subscribe so you do not miss any future deep dives into the movies that shaped your childhood. Thank you for watching.